So we're finally on our homestead, and I finally got to plant some seeds. And it was so many seeds that Mrs. Naked Gardener had to kind of pull me away, kind of be like, pull the reins back. So in this video, we're going to show you what seeds that we're going to be planting for the month of May. And we're going to start right now. What's going on, YouTube family? It's your boy Sydney and
Tori
from the Naked Gardener channel. In this video, we're going to be showing you what seeds that we're going to be growing on our new homestead. So let's get growing.
So Mr. Naked Gardener was not very happy with me for quite a few months because I wasn't letting him grow things while we were trying to move. We already had a lot of our own plants that were established that we had to figure out how to get here. So you know, it was nice to see him recently. We had a lot of rain here. We have a lot of covered porches. It was nice to see him get up underneath the porch, get his hands in the dirt, and start to plant things for our new property. Because honestly, I was really sick and tired of hearing him complain about not being able to do that and blaming it on me.
This is our first year on this property, so what we would like to do is kind of learn the land. A few days ago there was some rain, and it basically saturated our property. We got about 4 inches of rain, and it just covered everything. And the first thing that we would like to do is in-ground beds, so that way we know how the sun, the weather, and how our soil is able to take some of these crops. Now, the first order of business when we first got here, I learned that the sun starts on this side and works its way onto the back side of the 40. The first thing I would like to do is use this area as Mrs. Naked Gardener's kitchen garden.
We do like to experiment, and this first year, as we are learning things in this season on this property, we're going to be planting all the seed starts we started in this area, but eventually it is going to be determined to be just the kitchen garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not right off the bat.
So the first order of operation was just to kind of map up this area, just to kind of figure out what we need to do and what kind of space that we're going to be growing in. So what I did is I started off with one side of the corner, and I mapped it out every 26 feet. From there, from this corner back to the corner of that tree, all the way to the other corner to there, and I found out that was a little bit too wide, so I kind of used this as our middle ground, where we're going to offset it 13 feet from there, 13 feet back here, and 26 feet back there, and use we're going to use the in-ground beds as about the measurements of 30 inches wide by 18 feet long. And we kind of got late on the property on starting some seeds, so we had to go to the nursery, local nursery, to get some tomatoes, some peppers, and some other crops that we want to put in here. So yes, Mrs. Naked Gardener is right. We're going to do more than just flowers and herbs in this area.
Over the course of this next year, maybe even the next 2 years, I'm looking forward to getting all of our mistakes out of the way. We can really learn what does best where on this property.
So another thing that we're going to eventually wind up doing is planting a hedge or bush alongside of the road here, so that way when traffic is coming by, cars is coming by, it kind of buffers out the sound. Now there's some plants I was looking at, like I said, most of everything that's on this property I want to use as a dual purpose. So I was looking at either a bay leaf bush plant, a pineapple guava, a coffee plant, or maybe some other type of plant that can be used as not only as a sound buffer, but we can use as a culinary aspect. So if you like those ideas or you like some other ideas of plants or shrubs that we can use, comment down below and let us know what we should plant as a sound buffer.
So the majority of the seed starts that he started is going to go in the designated area that we were showing you, but some of the seeds we're going to be using as part of our permaculture fruit guild in the rest of the property, around the fruit trees and even around some of the other trees.
Yeah.
Just for the health of them. So some of the things we're going to call off are not going to be specifically in that area where we're planting everything else.
So some of the items that we're going to be growing and starting are going to be things like common chives, leeks, garlic chives, bunching onions. There's going to be some mints like the hummingbird mint, some peppermint, different types of basil. We got the sweet Genovese basil, the lettuce leaf basil, and the sweet basil. Mrs. Naked Gardener wants us to try some toothache plant, and that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that grows. We was watching Team Vincent's garden area, and she's growing that currently right now in the Arizona climate. Another thing is onions with a red onion and a white onion. We kind of grew those in bunches and we're going to separate those out later on. Another thing is catnip. Since Sage the cat loves chewing on our plants, we're going to try to have him coming out here and chewing on just the catnip itself. Bee balm, those are great pollinator plants to get the tomato, peppers, and other nightshade plants to invite some pollinators in. Savory, this is our first year growing. Oh, this is our first year growing savory.
It is.
We're not sure what to use that for or culinary wise, so if y'all know about that, comment down below, let us know about that. Another thing will be lemon balm, which is part of the mint family. That'd be nice to grow around some of the trees to use as a cover crop. Feverfew, yarrow, and this is going to be our first year growing lion's ear. I'm not sure why Mrs. Naked Gardener was interested in growing lion's ears this year, so that's one of the
I want to make a tea for you.
Oh, that's the one tea for the oh, okay. But so those are some of the herbs and medicinal plants that we're going to be growing, not just in our kitchen garden, also around our fruit guilds.
As far as flowers go, we are going to start some nasturtiums. I am a little sketchy about it just because when the heat hits, they're not huge fans of that. So we're going to try to do that in shaded areas, probably more in our fruit guilds, possibly. This will be our first year to do some phlox. I have never grown that before, so if you have some advice, let us know. I would like to do some verbena. We haven't grown that before either, but now that we have the room, I want to experiment with some things I haven't done before. I'm going to do some pintas. Now I've done borage. I love borage. We are going to have some borage, and I'm excited about it because in our other garden I had to move it and we just didn't have the room, but out here we're going to have the room. So I kind of want to experiment with how that's going to do out here. I was unsuccessful last year with the African daisy. I don't remember what it was that happened with it, but the African daisy is gorgeous. So I want to have some of those probably out in the herb and flower area. We are always going to grow marigolds, so especially the French marigold. We're going to do the climax and the jaguar. So we are going to have those, and we're going to use that kind of as companion planting in different areas. Of course, sunflowers. I can't get enough of sunflowers, so we're going to do just a nice variety of the sunflowers, and it'll be my first year testing out the mammoth one, along with what I already like, the hoppy black. I'm doing the tall orange as well, which I haven't done before, so I am experimenting with that this year. Mr. Naked Gardener and his zinnias. I think we're doing about every zinnia possible. I'm just kidding, we're not doing all of them, but we are doing a lot of them because he could not pick between them all. And then we're gonna do some asters. We have grown some asters before. We didn't get to do a bunch because we had limited space, but we are gonna do a lot more this year.
Now, on to the vegetables. So, finally, we'll have enough land to be growing some corn. So, we started a lot of corn. We'll possibly be putting it in this pasture in back of us. Mrs. Naked Gardener wanted these peaches and cream corn kernels. So, we're going to be growing a lot of those. Of course, we're going to have tomatoes and peppers. Like I said, we wasn't able to start the seeds. So we were able to go to a local nursery and get a lot of plants starts. That's the next best thing you can do if you don't have the time or late getting into the season to get some starts. They were very cheap. We got some different varieties of tomato plants. We mostly try to get determinate plants because we don't have the time to set up a trellis system to do any type of indeterminate plants. We got a few sweet peppers. We also got a few hot peppers. We did start some okra because we felt like our okra that Mrs. Naked Gardener wanted were the best, and some of those were the Star of David and the Alabama Reds. For the cucumbers, we started some seeds of some dragon eggs. We also got some bush variety cucumbers for some pickling purposes. Mrs. Naked Gardener wanted to do some Armenian cucumbers. We had a friend from Season Dream on her Instagram page. She does these a lot each year, and so we want to try to grow those. And then the last one are going to be the Dars. Now for the Dars, they're supposed to be an excellent variety of pickling, so we're going to try those out. For the squashes, we're going to be doing some butternut squash, some spaghetti squash. So we apparently started some honey boats as well. So we're going to be starting that. We just need to probably be putting a lot of these out in this pasture.
I forced you to start some jicama as well.
Oh yeah, we did some jicamas. Now that's our first, or we grew them last year, but we did it towards the end of the season, and just right when it was about to take off, fall hit. So the last few things that we're going to start, we're going to try to see if the red giant mustards are going to do very well. It seemed like they did last year at our property very well, almost up through the summertime. I think they even, in one of our pots, it stayed through almost the whole season.
It was a volunteer.
Yeah, and it was a volunteer. So we're going to try to see how it fares through this summer. And then the kale, the dinosaur kale, I think if we put it into some shade area, it might go throughout the season here. So we're trying that out. And if you paid attention to our property tour, Mrs. Naked Gardener has a persimmon tree out here that she's been dying to have. It was one of their plants or trees that she wanted on the property once we get on our homestead. We found some seeds at the base of the tree, and so we just started to see how the germination is off of those seeds. So stay tuned to see how those go. Now, one of our subscribers or viewers was telling us to probably put some pumpkin patch or watermelons out here and just let it, go to waste and go back into the soil. So we are going to grow some watermelon. We're not going to let all of it go to waste. Some of the watermelons that we're going to be growing is the ones that we got from Jess when we went to go visit her homestead before she moved to South Carolina. Congratulations, by the way. The other one is a yellow meat. It's the early moonbeam one. And that one, I love yellow meat and orange meat watermelons because they're just a lot sweeter compared to the red ones. We also want to grow some artichoke and plant those around the fruit guilds and use those leaves as a chop and drop, so allow the nitrogen to go back into the soil and use it almost like a shade crop.
Upcoming videos, as we do some other things, we are going to update our failures especially, and how our things that we're growing or doing. So just follow along and we'll update you about what our success and failures are.
We hope you like this video. If so, make sure you give us a thumbs up. It really helps our channel out. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss an upload. We do a lot of types of things like this. We'll put a card above for you to follow along. And to the next video, let's grow together.